Osama bin Laden was born in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in 1957. His father, Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden, was a wealthy construction magnate with close ties to the Saudi royal family. Osama was one of 54 children but enjoyed a privileged upbringing due to his father's wealth. He received a good education, attending the prestigious King Abdulaziz University in Jeddah. Despite his comfortable upbringing, bin Laden became increasingly drawn to radical interpretations of Islam during his university years. The Soviet invasion of Afghanistan in 1979 proved to be a turning point. Bin Laden, deeply affected by the plight of Afghan Muslims, traveled to the region to join the resistance. The Soviet-Afghan War was a crucible for bin Laden's radicalization. He initially provided financial support to the Afghan Mujahideen fighting the Soviets. However, he soon became directly involved in the conflict, helping to organize and train foreign Muslim fighters. These fighters, known as Afghan Arabs, would later form the core of Al-Qaeda. Bin Laden's experiences in Afghanistan solidified his extremist ideology. He came to believe that the Muslim world was under attack by the West, led by the United States. He saw the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan as part of a larger crusade against Islam, and he vowed to fight back. In 1988, bin Laden formally established Al-Qaeda, which means the base in Arabic. The organization's stated goal was to expel Western influence from Muslim countries and establish a global Islamic caliphate. Al-Qaeda attracted recruits from across the Muslim world, united by their shared ideology and bin Laden's charisma. Al-Qaeda initially focused its attacks on U.S. interests in the Middle East and Africa. The group bombed the U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania in 1998, killing 224 people. In 2000, Al-Qaeda attacked the USS Cole in Yemen, killing 17 American sailors. These attacks were a prelude to the horror that would unfold on September 11, 2001. The September 11th attacks remain the deadliest terrorist act in history. On that fateful day, the world watched in horror as the events unfolded live on television, forever etching the date into the collective memory of humanity. On that day, 19 Al-Qaeda operatives hijacked 4 commercial airplanes. These terrorists meticulously planned their attacks, exploiting vulnerabilities in airport security to carry out their deadly mission. 2 planes crashed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City, causing their collapse. The impact and subsequent fires led to the tower's eventual fall, creating a scene of unimaginable devastation and chaos. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. This attack struck at the heart of the United States military command, further amplifying the sense of vulnerability and fear across the nation. The 4th plane, United Airlines Flight 93, crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania after passengers and crew fought back against the hijackers. Their bravery prevented further loss of life and potential destruction of another significant target. Nearly 3,000 people were killed in the attacks. The loss was felt deeply by families, friends, and communities, leaving a void that could never be filled. The bravery of first responders, who risked and often lost their lives, became a symbol of hope and resilience. The 9/11 attacks shocked the world and had profound geopolitical consequences. Nations around the globe united in their condemnation of the attacks, and the event reshaped international relations and policies on security and counterterrorism. The United States, under President George W. Bush, launched the War on Terror, invading Afghanistan to topple the Taliban regime, which had harbored Al-Qaeda. This marked the beginning of a prolonged conflict aimed at dismantling terrorist networks and preventing future attacks. Bin Laden became the world's most wanted man, a symbol of global terrorism. His eventual death in 2011 brought a sense of closure to many, but the legacy of 9/11s continues to influence global politics and security measures to this day. Section 5. The Relentless Hunt. The United States, in concert with its allies, launched a global manhunt for Osama bin Laden. This mission was not just a military endeavor, but a complex operation involving multiple facets of intelligence and international cooperation. The stakes were incredibly high and the world watched with bated breath as the hunt unfolded. The CIA and other intelligence agencies worked tirelessly to track him down, following every lead and analyzing every scrap of information. These agencies employed a range of sophisticated techniques, from satellite surveillance to human intelligence, to piece together bin Laden's movements and hideouts. The hunt for bin Laden was long and arduous, marked by both successes and setbacks. Soldiers faced harsh weather conditions and rugged terrains, often putting their lives on the line. Each mission brought them closer, yet the elusive nature of their target made the task seem almost insurmountable at times. The NSA in particular played a pivotal role in the hunt for bin Laden. Their advanced technological capabilities allowed them to intercept communications and gather critical data that would otherwise have been impossible to obtain. The agency's vast surveillance capabilities, including its ability to intercept and analyze foreign communications, proved invaluable in tracking al-Qaeda operatives and gathering intelligence on bin Laden's whereabouts. This information was then relayed to other agencies and military units, forming a cohesive network of intelligence sharing. The NSA's role in the hunt for bin Laden, often shrouded in secrecy, has been the subject of much debate and controversy. While some praise the agency for its effectiveness, others question the ethical implications of its surveillance methods. Regardless, the relentless pursuit of bin Laden showcased the lengths to which nations would go to ensure justice and security. Section 6. Justice served in Abbottabad. On May 2, 2011, a team of U.S. Navy SEALs conducted a raid on a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. The compound was believed to be the hideout of Osama bin Laden. After a firefight, the SEALs found and killed bin Laden. His body was flown to Afghanistan for identification and then buried at sea. Bin Laden's death was a major victory in the fight against terrorism. It dealt a significant blow to al-Qaeda, depriving the organization of its charismatic leader. However, it did not mark the end of al-Qaeda or the threat of global terrorism. Section 7. The Legacy of Terror. Osama bin Laden's legacy is one of death and destruction. He was responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people. His ideology of hate and violence continues to inspire terrorist groups around the world. The fight against terrorism remains a major challenge for the international community. Al-Qaeda, though weakened by bin Laden's death, has spawned numerous affiliates and offshoots. These groups, inspired by bin Laden's ideology, continue to pose a threat to global security. The fight against terrorism is a complex and multifaceted challenge, requiring a comprehensive approach that addresses the underlying conditions that give rise to extremism. Section 8. Omar bin Laden, a different path. Omar bin Laden, Osama's fourth oldest son, has taken a different path than his father. He has publicly denounced his father's ideology of violence and has called for peace. However, Omar's claims of moderation have been met with skepticism by some who question his sincerity. Omar bin Laden has lived a peripatetic life, moving between various countries in the Middle East and Europe. He currently resides in Qatar. He has been the subject of much media attention, due in part to his famous or infamous father. Despite his efforts to distance himself from his father's legacy, Omar bin Laden remains inextricably linked to Osama in the public imagination. Section 9. The Enduring Threat. The threat of terrorism remains a major challenge for the world today. Despite numerous efforts to combat it, terrorism continues to evolve, adapting to new circumstances and exploiting vulnerabilities in societies across the globe. While al-Qaeda has been weakened, it is far from defeated. The group has managed to survive through decentralization, allowing its ideology to persist and inspire new generations of extremists. New terrorist groups inspired by al-Qaeda's ideology have emerged in recent years. These groups often adopt similar tactics and strategies, making them equally dangerous and unpredictable. These groups, often operating in ungoverned or weakly governed spaces, exploit instability and conflict to further their agendas. They thrive in regions where the rule of law is weak and governance is almost non-existent. The fight against terrorism requires a multifaceted approach, one that combines military force with diplomacy, intelligence sharing, and efforts to counter extremist ideology. It is not enough to target the terrorists themselves. We must also address the root causes that lead to radicalization. It is a fight that requires global cooperation and a sustained commitment from all nations. Only through a united front can we hope to effectively combat the ever-evolving threat of terrorism. The legacy of Osama bin Laden is a stark reminder of the human capacity for evil and the enduring threat of terrorism. His actions have left an indelible mark on history, and the fight against the ideology he propagated continues to this day.
Du meine Arbeit für richtig hältst, ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, dass ich mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe, dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste